Imagine this. You meet someone who seems perfect. He says all the right things, sends messages that make your heart race, and gives you just enough attention to keep you hooked. But deep down, you start to wonder, does he really like me, or is he just playing a game? Is he genuinely interested, or is he keeping me around for convenience? Today, we are going to expose the truth behind male behavior, and how to tell if he is truly invested in you, or if you're just another option on his list. And trust me, the last sign we'll reveal is the most powerful of all. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel Female Red Pill. Leave a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with someone who might need this wake-up call. What you're about to learn can completely change the way you understand attraction and relationships. Now, let's get to the heart of the matter. Men's attraction and commitment don't always align. You might think that just because he's spending time with you, texting you, or even sleeping with you, it means he sees you as someone special. But that's not how male psychology works. To truly understand whether he's serious about you or just playing, we need to look at his actions beyond words. And to do that, we'll be using insights from some of the best red pill critique authors, such as Dr. David Buss in The Evolution of Desire and Esther Perel in Mating in Captivity. First, let's talk about consistency. A man who is truly interested in you will make an effort consistently, not just when it's convenient for him, not just when he's bored, and certainly not just when he wants something. The problem is, many women mistake intensity for interest. If he floods you with messages for a few days and then disappears, that's not a sign of commitment. That's a sign of manipulation. And this is where a lot of women get caught in the breadcrumbing trap, where a man gives just enough attention to keep you hopeful, but never fully invests. Now think about this. When was the last time he made real plans with you, without you having to suggest it? A man who is serious about you will be proactive. He won't leave you guessing. He will plan dates, initiate conversations, and show up without you having to remind him. If he only contacts you when it's convenient late at night or after he's exhausted all other options, you already have your answer. And let's not forget his actions around other women. One of the biggest indicators of whether he's playing or genuinely interested is how he behaves when other women are around. Does he still prioritize you? Or does he suddenly become less responsive, more distant, or even flirty with others? A man who is serious about you won't feel the need to keep his options open or play games to boost his ego. Now, before we continue, ask yourself, have you ever been in a situation where you felt uncertain about a man's intentions? Drop your experiences in the comments because I guarantee you're not alone in this. We've only just begun uncovering the truth about male behavior. But what comes next is even more revealing. If you think what we've discussed so far is eye-opening, wait until you hear what's coming, because the final sign is the ultimate test of whether he sees you as a priority or just a temporary distraction. Let's dig deeper, because understanding whether a man is truly interested in you isn't just about how often he texts or calls. It's about how much effort he's willing to put into the relationship when things aren't easy. This is where many women fall into the trap of believing that attention equals intention. But let's be clear, attention is cheap, but effort is expensive. Consider this. When life gets busy, when challenges arise, or when he's under pressure, does he still make time for you? Or do you suddenly become an afterthought? A man who is genuinely invested will prioritize you even when it's inconvenient. He won't disappear the moment things get complicated. This is something that Esther Perel emphasizes in Mating in Captivity, where she explains how real intimacy is built not in moments of excitement, but in moments of vulnerability and consistency. Now, let's talk about future planning. This is a major indicator. If a man talks about the future but never includes you in it, that's a clear sign he's not serious. Pay attention to the subtle cues. Is he making long-term plans that involve you? Or is he keeping things vague? If he avoids conversations about the future, or if his plans never go beyond the next weekend, chances are he's not thinking about you in the long run. But here's the tricky part. Some men are masters at giving just enough to make you think they're serious. They'll sprinkle in just enough sweet talk about someday, or we should do this together, without ever following through. This is a form of emotional baiting. They keep you hooked on potential, not reality. And this brings us to another critical point. How does he handle your boundaries? A man who is genuinely interested will respect your limits. He won't pressure you into situations you're uncomfortable with. If he gets frustrated or distant when you set boundaries, that's a major red flag. True interest comes with respect. If he's pushing your boundaries to see how much he can get away with, he's not interested in you as a person. He's interested in what you can offer him in the moment. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed a man pulling away when you started asking for more clarity or commitment? Share your thoughts in the comments because these patterns are more common than you think. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. According to Dr. David Buss in The Evolution of Desire, men have evolved different mating strategies based on what they want from a relationship. Some are looking for short-term flings, while others seek long-term partners. The problem is, many men mimic long-term behaviors to secure short-term goals. They'll say what you want to hear, they'll act the part, but when it comes time to truly invest, they vanish. So how do you differentiate between the two? The answer lies in consistency over time. It's easy for someone to show interest in the beginning, when everything is new and exciting. But true interest stands the test of time. If his effort fades after the honeymoon phase, you've got your answer. And here's a question to really make you think. Are you confusing attention for intention? Many women get caught up in the excitement of being pursued, but they don't stop to ask if that pursuit is leading anywhere meaningful. If you've found yourself in this situation before, don't worry, you're not alone. The next part of this video will reveal the most powerful sign of all, the ultimate test to see if he's genuinely interested or just playing games. But before we get there, if you're finding this helpful, make sure you're subscribed to Female Red Pill. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your experiences, and share this video with someone who might need to hear this. The next part will change the way you see relationships forever. Now that we've uncovered how inconsistency, lack of future planning, and boundary pushing are clear signs that a man might be playing games, it's time to dive even deeper. Because here's the truth. Even if a man is consistent in the beginning, even if he talks about the future and respects your boundaries, there's one final test that will reveal his true intentions. And that test is how he reacts when you stop giving him what he wants. Think about it. When everything is going smoothly, when you're giving him attention, affection, and time, it's easy for him to stick around. But what happens when you pull back? When you stop texting first? When you start prioritizing yourself and your needs? That's when his true colors show. If he's genuinely interested, he'll notice your distance and try to bridge that gap. He'll ask what's wrong. He'll make an effort to reconnect, and he'll prove that he values you beyond what you can do for him. But if he's playing, he'll either disappear completely or get frustrated that you're no longer catering to him. This is what Rollo Tomassi critiques in The Rational Male, especially when discussing how men often value the chase more than the relationship itself. According to Tomassi, many men thrive on the thrill of pursuit but lose interest once they feel they've won you. This is where understanding male mating strategies becomes crucial. A man who is playing games will show disinterest the moment you become less available. He might start ghosting you, taking longer to reply, or even trying to make you jealous by flaunting his interactions with other women. Why? Because he's not invested in you. He's invested in the validation you provide. Now here's where it gets even more critical. Men who are playing games often engage in a tactic called gaslighting. When you start to notice inconsistencies and confront them, instead of addressing the issue, they'll make you feel like you're overreacting. They'll say things like, "You're being too sensitive," or "You're imagining things." This emotional manipulation keeps you doubting yourself while they continue their games in the background. So let me ask you, have you ever felt like you were being too needy for wanting clarity or consistency? Have you ever second-guessed your own feelings because a man made you feel like you were asking for too much? Share your experiences in the comments, because recognizing this is the first step in breaking free from the cycle. But here's the twist. Sometimes the game isn't obvious. Some men are so skilled at pretending to care that they'll do just enough to keep you hopeful, without ever fully committing. This is what's known as situationships, relationships that have all the elements of a partnership, but none of the commitment. And the worst part? Many women stay in these situationships hoping that one day he'll finally wake up and realize how amazing they are. But let me be clear, if he hasn't recognized your worth by now, he's not going to. You can't convince someone to see your value. It has to come from them. This is exactly what Dr. Robert Glover discusses in No More Mr. Nice Guy, where he explains how both men and women fall into patterns of trying to earn love and validation. But the harsh reality is, you should never have to earn someone's interest. If a man is genuinely interested, he will show it without you having to chase, convince, or prove yourself. And this leads us to the most powerful realization of all, the one that will completely shift your perspective. It's not just about whether he is interested in you. The real question is, are you interested in someone who makes you question your worth? Are you willing to settle for someone who treats your presence as optional? Because here's the truth. A man who is truly interested will not leave you confused. He won't play games. He won't make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. His actions will speak louder than his words, and you will feel secure in his presence. If you've been in a situation where you felt like you were being played, now is the time to reclaim your power. You deserve someone who values you, respects you, and sees your worth without you having to fight for it. Before we move to the final part, where we'll discuss how to turn the tables and protect yourself from ever falling into these traps again, make sure you're subscribed to Female Red Pill. Hit that like button, share your experiences in the comments, and send this video to a friend who needs to hear this truth. Now, it's time for the most important part, the one that not only helps you recognize when a man is playing games, but also shows you how to flip the script. Because here's the truth. Knowing the signs is just the first step. The real power comes from understanding how to protect yourself and attract men who are genuinely interested, without ever having to question their intentions again. First, let's talk about self-worth. The foundation of any healthy relationship starts with how much you value yourself. When you know your worth, you don't settle for breadcrumbs. You don't tolerate mixed signals, emotional manipulation, or half-hearted effort. But here's the challenge. Many women struggle with setting boundaries because they fear pushing men away. They think, if I'm too demanding, he'll lose interest. But let me tell you something powerful. If a man loses interest because you're setting healthy boundaries, he was never the right one to begin with. This is where the teachings of Mark Manson in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F**k come into play. Manson emphasizes the importance of standing firm in your values and not compromising your self-respect for temporary validation. When you stop caring about keeping someone who doesn't appreciate you, you make room for someone who does. Now here's a mindset shift that will change everything. Stop focusing on whether he likes you and start asking yourself, do I like him? Does he meet your standards? Does he bring value to your life beyond superficial attention? When you flip the focus from being chosen to choosing, you regain control over your emotional well-being. Let's take it further. One of the most effective ways to protect yourself from men who play games is to maintain a life that is full, independent, and fulfilling outside of relationships. When your happiness isn't dependent on a man's attention, you become less vulnerable to manipulation. Men can sense when a woman is confident and self-assured, and ironically, that's what attracts genuinely interested men in the first place. This is something that Sherry Argov explores in Why Men Love Bitches. She explains that men are naturally drawn to women who don't make them the center of their universe. A woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't settle for anything less than she deserves. And here's the kicker. When you embody this mindset, the right men will pursue you with genuine interest, while the players will fall away on their own. But let's get practical. How do you implement this in real life? First, set clear boundaries from the beginning. If a man is inconsistent, calls you only late at night, or avoids making real plans, call it out. You don't have to be confrontational, but you do have to be honest. Say something like, I'm looking for consistency and respect. If that's not something you're interested in, that's okay, but I won't settle for less. Watch how he responds. A man who's genuinely interested will step up. A man who's playing will disappear. And that's exactly what you want. Second, don't be afraid to walk away. This is the hardest part for many women because they fear being alone. But being alone is far better than being with someone who doesn't truly value you. When you walk away from someone who isn't meeting your needs, you're not losing, you're winning. You're making space for something better. And finally, trust your intuition. Deep down, you already know when something feels off. You know when a man's words don't match his actions. Don't ignore those feelings. Your intuition is your greatest tool in identifying whether someone is genuinely interested or just playing games. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stayed in a relationship or situation because you hoped things would change, even when your gut told you otherwise? Share your story in the comments because acknowledging these experiences is the first step toward growth and empowerment. To wrap this up, remember this. You deserve a relationship where you feel secure, respected, and valued. You deserve someone who doesn't make you question their intentions, And the moment you start believing that, you'll stop attracting men who play games and start attracting men who are ready to invest in you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Female Red Pill, hit that like button, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into understanding relationships from a red pill critique perspective, check out these 2 videos right here on the screen. They'll open your eyes to even more truths that can transform your love life. Thank you for watching, and remember, you hold the power.